The night was silent around the human outpost. Far from the busy cities of Earth, only the wind moved across the empty land, carrying the smell of dust and metal. Inside the small building, one man worked alone. He was an engineer, but also trained in medicine, because in this remote place, help was never close. His name was not important here, but his heart was full of patience, curiosity, and a strange habit of helping even when no one asked. Suddenly, the silence broke. A scream of fire cut across the sky. The man rushed outside, looking up. Something bright was falling, burning like a broken star. It roared past the hills and crashed with a terrible sound, shaking the ground. The man's heart raced. He grabbed his emergency kit and ran toward the smoke. When he reached the crash site, his breath caught. A ship no human design lay twisted in the dirt, glowing with dying lights. Sparks jumped from broken wires. Steam hissed. He hesitated only for a moment. Everyone knew alien ships sometimes carried danger, sometimes even death. But inside, someone could be alive. He pushed himself forward. The air inside the wreck smelled strange, thick, and sharp. The walls were lined with symbols he did not understand. He moved carefully, stepping over burning metal. Then he heard a faint cry, weak and full of pain. He followed the sound. There, in a corner, he saw them. A tall alien woman, her skin a shade of pale silver, sat slumped against the wall. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. In her arms, she held a small girl, fragile and trembling. The child's chest rose and fell in broken gasps, as if each breath was a battle. The man knelt beside them. "Can you hear me?" he asked. The mother's eyes snapped open. They were sharp, full of warning. She spoke in a voice heavy with an accent, but still clear enough. "Save." She pushed the child into his arms before collapsing again, too weak to stand. The man looked at the girl. Her lungs were failing. He knew the sign: skin turning pale, breaths shallow, heart slowing. She was dying. Quickly, he set up a small oxygen mask from his kit, but it did not help. The girl coughed, choking, her body twisting in fear. He checked her lungs with his scanner. His stomach turned. Her organs were not built for Earth's air. They needed something richer, something her damaged body could no longer find. The mother had already lost too much blood herself, and now the child was slipping away. The man worked faster, trying every tool in his pack. None of it worked. The girl's tiny hands clawed weakly at his shirt, as if begging. Her eyes were wide, shimmering with tears. "No, stay with me," he whispered, panic rising. He was not her family, not her kind. But in that moment, he felt the weight of her life in his hands. Then he saw the scanner again. Something about her blood. Its structure was strange, but not completely alien. There were echoes of human chemistry inside. Enough that just maybe his own blood could give her the missing strength. The thought chilled him. A transfusion across species was madness. It could poison her or kill him. No law, no guidebook, no training told him this was right. But watching the child struggle, he knew waiting would mean death. His hands shook as he prepared the line. He connected the tubes, one into his own arm, the other into hers. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, color began to return to her face. Her chest lifted with a stronger breath. Her heart beat steadier. The man let out a shaky sigh of relief. "That's it." "Breathe," he whispered. The girl opened her eyes. They were large and bright, glowing softly in the dark wreck. She stared at him, confused but alive. Then her small fingers curled around his wrist, holding him as if he was the only safe thing in the universe. Behind him, the mother stirred. She lifted her head and saw what he had done. Her face did not show relief. Instead, her eyes narrowed, sharp as knives. She whispered something in her own language, the words heavy with meaning. The man could not understand, but the way she looked at him made his skin crawl. It was not gratitude. It was not peace. It was something else, fear, maybe, or a warning. The wind outside howled through the broken ship. The man sat still, the child breathing softly against his chest, his blood now inside her. He had saved her life. But in the mother's eyes, he saw no thanks only, a shadow of something darker. And deep inside, the man felt it too. He had crossed a line. Somewhere in the vast stars, there might be rules he had just broken. Rules he could not even begin to imagine. The girl's breath grew steady, but the silence in the wreck grew heavy. The human knew one thing for certain. This was not the end. This was only the beginning. The alien girl slept peacefully in the man's arms, her chest rising and falling with steady rhythm. His blood had kept her alive through the night. Every hour, he checked her pulse, her breath, her eyes. Each time, relief washed over him. She was living. But the mother never once thanked him. She lay nearby, wounded, but strong enough to keep watch. Her silver skin shimmered faintly under the broken lights of the wreck. Her gaze never left him, cold and sharp, like the edge of a blade. When morning came, the man finally asked, "Why do you look at me like that?" "I saved her." The mother sat up slowly, her face hard. "You should not have done it," she whispered. Her voice carried both anger and sorrow. Human. "You do not understand what you have done." The man frowned. She was dying. "I had no choice." Her eyes glowed faintly, full of strange intensity. "There are always choices. You gave her your blood. That act is not small. It is not simple." He felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean?" She looked away, as if speaking the words would bring danger closer. "In our law, blood is life. To give blood is to bind life. You are now connected to her, human, forever." The man blinked, shocked. "That's nonsense. I only wanted to keep her alive." The mother shook her head slowly. "You do not know the galactic codes. They are older than your world. Blood is sacred. To share it outside one's kind is forbidden. What you have done is both a gift and a crime." Her words sank deep into him. Forbidden, crime. He had acted out of mercy. But now, something far larger seemed to be unfolding. The girl stirred, waking. She reached out her small hand and touched his face with trust, her eyes bright and innocent. She whispered a single word in her language, but the tone was clear. She called him life-giver. The mother turned away, her expression unreadable. The man's heart tightened. He did not want titles or strange laws. He wanted only to save a child. Yet, the weight of the mother's warning pressed on him. Hours passed. As the sun fell again, the ground trembled with a low hum. The man stepped outside the wreck and froze. Shadows moved across the sky. Alien ships, sleek, silver, and alive with light descended through the clouds. Rescue had come. The mother rose, her strength returning as she saw her people approach. Her eyes filled with relief, but also with something else, fear. She gripped the man's arm tightly, surprising him. "Do not speak of the blood," she hissed. "Do not tell them what you did. If they know, you will not be free." Before he could answer, the alien ships landed with a roar of engines. Soldiers in dark armor poured out, their faces hidden behind masks. Their weapons glowed faintly, humming with strange power. One of them knelt before the mother. "Commander, you live. We feared you lost." The man's heart jumped. "Commander." This woman was not just a mother, she was someone important. A leader, she stood tall, masking her pain. "My daughter is safe," she said firmly. We require immediate medical attention. The soldiers noticed the human standing there, holding the girl. Their helmets turned toward him, scanning. A beam of blue light swept over his body, then paused on his arm. The scanner beeped, flashing red. One soldier looked at the mother. There is human blood. Inside the child, the silence that followed was heavy. The soldiers stiffened, their weapons shifting slightly as if ready. The mother's jaw tightened. The man stepped back, holding the girl protectively. She was dying, he said quickly. I did what I had to. I saved her, but the soldiers did not move. Their faces hidden, their voices cold. One of them muttered, "He has broken the code." The mother raised her hand sharply. Enough. He is under my command. No word of this leaves here. Do you understand? The soldiers exchanged uneasy looks, but they obeyed. The man's heart pounded. Broken the code. His mind swirled with questions. What punishment did they mean? Why did the mother protect him now when she had shown him nothing but coldness before? They carried the girl gently into a medical pod where alien machines began to hum around her. She remained calm, still clutching his sleeve until the very last moment. The mother approached him one final time before boarding the rescue craft. Her eyes were hard, but her voice was low and heavy. You saved her life, human. But you also changed yourself. Remember this, the law does not forgive. When the council learns, they will claim you. The man stared at her, trying to understand. Claim me? For what? But she gave no answer. The ship's doors closed with a hiss, and the rescue craft lifted into the night sky. Carrying the mother and her daughter away, the man stood alone in the field, the silence returning once more. Only now, he felt a new weight pressing down on him. He had saved a life. But in the vast, cold laws of the galaxy, that single act might have cost him his own. The human thought the nightmare was over when the alien ships carried the mother and her child away. He returned to his quiet outpost, his hands still trembling from everything he had seen. Days passed, yet sleep never came easily. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw the girl's small hand gripping his sleeve, her fragile chest rising only because his blood flowed in her veins. But peace did not last. One evening, a low rumble shook the earth again. He stepped outside and froze. A massive alien vessel hung above the outpost, its shadow swallowing the land. Bright lights scanned the ground, moving closer until they locked on him. A voice thundered in a language he barely understood. Then translated into harsh English, "By order of the Galactic Council, you are summoned." He had no chance to run. Beams of blue light wrapped around his body, lifting him from the ground. His tools, his walls, even the earth itself fell away as he was pulled into the belly of the ship inside. The air was cold, metallic, and heavy with silence. Alien guards stood on both sides of the corridor, their armor gleaming, their weapons humming with deadly energy. They did not speak. They only marched him forward. At last, he entered a great chamber. The ceiling curved high above, glowing with strange patterns like stars frozen in crystal. In the center sat the alien council, tall figures in long robes, their faces lined with wisdom and cruelty. Their eyes glowed with different shades, silver, green, gold, and deep blue. The mother was there too, standing beside her daughter. The child's face lit up when she saw him, and she tried to run to him. But the mother held her back firmly. One of the counselors rose, his voice echoing through the hall. "Human of Earth, you are brought here because of your act. You crossed the sacred boundary. You gave your blood to one of our kind." The human swallowed hard. "I saved her life. She was dying. I had no choice." The chamber filled with low murmurs. The aliens' voices like waves crashing. Another counselor, her eyes sharp as burning steel, spoke coldly. Ignorance is no excuse. You do not understand what you have done. Blood is not medicine. Blood is bond. In our law, to give it is to claim, or to be claimed. The words struck him like a blow. I didn't claim anything, he said firmly. I only wanted to help, but the counselor shook her head. It does not matter what you wanted. The bond is sealed. The child lives because of you. That makes you her life-bearer. That makes you property of her line. The man's heart pounded. Property. I am not property. I am human. I belong to no one. The council chamber erupted with voices, some angry, some shocked, some curious. The child clung to her mother's robe, staring at him with wide, frightened eyes. Then the mother stepped forward. Her face was calm, her voice steady, but her words were heavy with power. The code is clear. He has joined his blood with mine. By law, he is a genetic claimant. He belongs to my house. He will fulfill his duty as breeder. The words froze him. Breeder, his chest tightened with rage. He wanted to shout, to fight, to tear the walls down. But the weight of every alien gaze pressed on him like chains. The child suddenly broke free and ran to him. She clutched his leg tightly, her voice trembling but strong. Life-giver, she whispered, looking up at him with tears. Gasps filled the chamber. The counselors leaned forward. A child's bond was not to be ignored. The man bent down, lifting her gently into his arms. I saved you, he whispered to her, his throat tight. But I will not be anyone's prisoner. A counselor slammed his staff on the floor. The sound shook the chamber. Enough, he will be examined. If his blood is found pure, the claim will be sealed. If not, he will be punished for breaking sacred law. Guards moved closer, weapons ready. The man's pulse raced. He wanted to resist, but the girl's arms around his neck held him back. He could not risk her safety. The mother spoke again, her voice colder than before. Do not fight, human. If you resist, they will kill you. Do as the law demands. He glared at her. You talk about law, but where is mercy? Where is gratitude? I saved your daughter. For a flicker of a moment, her eyes softened just a shadow of pain. But then her mask of steel returned. Gratitude does not matter. Only survival. The guard seized him, pulling him away from the child's arms. Her cry echoed through the chamber. Sharp and heartbreaking, as they dragged him down the corridor, his mind burned with fury. He had risked his life for kindness, and now the galaxy saw him as nothing but a tool. A breeder, a crime made flesh. But deep inside, one thought grew stronger than fear. He would not bow. Asterisk, the cell was cold. Built of smooth black stone that hummed with hidden energy. The human sat on the narrow bench, his hands bound by glowing cuffs that tightened whenever he moved too quickly. The silence pressed on him, broken only by the low hum of alien machinery outside. He thought he was alone until he heard a small sound. Soft footsteps, quick and light. Then the door slid open with a hiss, and the girl slipped inside. She ran straight to him. Her eyes bright, her silver hair glowing faintly in the dim light. Life-giver, she whispered, climbing onto the bench beside him. Her small arms wrapped around his chest, and she buried her face in his shirt. His throat tightened. He had not seen her since the council dragged him away. He hugged her carefully, afraid the guards would storm in at any second. But no one came. How did you get here? He asked softly. She pulled back and smiled with a mischievous sparkle. Guards sleep. I come. The human almost laughed, but his heart ached instead. She was only a child, yet she risked punishment just to see him. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. You should not be here. It's dangerous. Her eyes grew serious. You are mine now. You gave blood. You are family. His chest tightened again. Those words simple, innocent cut deeper than any council law. To her, this was not crime or duty. It was life. It was trust. It was bond. The door hissed again. The man stiffened, ready for guards, but it was the mother. She entered with a hard face, her gaze darting to the child clinging to him. "Come," she ordered sharply. "Leave him." But the girl only tightened her hold, shaking her head. "No, he stays with me." The mother's eyes narrowed, her voice low and dangerous. "You shame us, child. He is not your kind. He is a danger to our line." The girl looked up at her, tears forming in her glowing eyes. "He saved me. He gave me life. Why do you hate him?" The words hung heavy in the room. The mother's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. For the first time, the human saw something crack in her expression, not coldness, but a flicker of pain, quickly buried again. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You do not understand. The law will tear him apart. If you show too much bond, they will not forgive." The human spoke at last. "Then stop hiding behind law. Your daughter is alive because of me. That should mean something." Her eyes snapped to him, sharp as fire. "It means everything and nothing. You saved her, yes. But the council does not care about mercy. They care about purity, about bloodlines. You are now a threat, human. They will use you, or they will destroy you." Silence filled the cell. The child trembled, her small hand clutching his wrist. He looked at her and then back at the mother. "Then protect her," he said quietly. "If you cannot protect me, at least protect her." The mother's face hardened. "Do you think I would not? She is my only child. I would burn stars for her. Then let her choose," the man replied. "Because right now she chooses me." The mother's expression flickered again. But she turned and walked out without another word. The door hissed shut behind her, leaving them in silence. The girl laid her head against his chest, whispering softly, "Do not leave me." His arms tightened around her. He had no promise to give, but in his heart he knew he would not abandon her, no matter the cost. Hours passed. When the guards finally came, they found the child asleep in his lap. They tried to pull her away, but she clung to him fiercely, crying out until the walls shook with her voice. The council was summoned again. The child's bond was too strong to ignore. Some counselors muttered about mercy, others about danger. Whispers filled the chamber. The human is tied to her. The human keeps her alive. If they separate them, she may die. The human stood there, his wrists still bound. But for the first time, he saw doubt in their alien eyes. He was not just a prisoner anymore. He was part of something the law had not planned for. The girl clung to him before them all, declaring in a trembling but clear voice, "He is my life giver. I will not let him go." Gasps filled the chamber. The human looked at her, stunned by her courage. And deep inside, something shifted. This was no longer about survival alone. This was about protecting the bond they had formed, something stronger than law, older than fear. The council's voices rose in argument, echoing through the vast hall. For the first time, the man realized he was not just fighting chains. He was fighting an entire system, and the child was on his side. The council chamber was alive with whispers. The girl's words, her fearless declaration that the human was her life giver, still hung in the air, like a fire no one could put out. The counselors argued among themselves, their glowing eyes flickering in the vast hall. Some looked horrified, others intrigued, and a few wore expressions of cold calculation. The human stood tall, though his wrists were bound with glowing cuffs. The child clung to his arm, refusing to let go. She looked small beside the towering aliens. but her voice had carried more weight than any of theirs. At last, the council fell silent. The eldest among them, a figure with skin like dark glass and eyes that burned gold, rose to speak. His voice was deep, each word heavy with power. The law is clear. Blood has been given. The bond is sealed. This human is now a genetic claimant. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Another counselor rose quickly, her face sharp with disdain. Then let the law be fulfilled. The child's mother must claim him fully. He will serve her house as breeder. His body is no longer his, on it belongs to the line he has joined. The human's blood ran cold. Breeder. The word echoed in his skull like a curse. He clenched his fists, fury burning through him. I am not a tool. I am not property. I am not yours to claim. The child buried her face in his side, trembling. The counselor's eyes narrowed at his defiance. You misunderstand, human. This is not choice. This is law. Then the mother stepped forward. She stood tall, her silver skin gleaming under the chamber's light. Her voice cut through the silence like steel. Yes, by the code, he is mine. The man's chest tightened. He stared at her in disbelief. After everything, after his sacrifice, she would stand there and claim him like a prize. She continued, her tone icy and unyielding. He will serve my family. He will breed strength for my line. That is the will of the law. The child's cry pierced the air. No, he is not yours. He is mine. The mother's eyes flashed with anger, but beneath it the human thought he saw something else. Fear. Fear not of him, but of the council. Of what might happen if she showed weakness. The eldest counselor raised his staff, silencing the hall. Enough. The test will decide. His blood will be examined. If it is compatible, he will be claimed as breeder. If it is not, he will be punished for breaking the sacred boundary. That is the judgment. The guards moved forward. The human tried to pull back, but the cuffs tightened painfully, forcing him still. Needles of alien metal pierced his skin, drawing samples of his blood. The machines hummed, glowing as they processed what no human technology could understand. He stood there, rage boiling inside him. He looked at the girl clinging to him, her glowing eyes wide with fear. He whispered to her, "Do not be afraid. I will not let them take me from you." But his voice betrayed his own fear. Minutes passed like hours. Then the machines let out a sharp chime. The counselors leaned forward as symbols flashed across the screens. One of them read the result aloud. His blood is not only compatible, it is strong, stronger than many of our own. A wave of murmurs filled the chamber. Some counselors looked hungry, as if they had discovered treasure. Others looked uneasy, as though they had just seen the birth of a threat. The mother's jaw tightened. Her voice rang out firmly. Then it is settled. By code, he belongs to me. The man shook his head violently. No, I belong to no one. You will not chain me for what I did to save a child. The counselor with steel eyes smirked. You already are chained, human. Your own blood bound you. The girl began to sob, her small hands gripping him tighter. Don't let them take you. Please, don't go. The human's heart broke at her words. His anger turned to fire. He raised his head and glared at the council, his voice strong despite the cuffs digging into his flesh. You call this law. I call it slavery. You think you can use me, but I will never serve you. I will never be your breeder. If you chain me, then remember this humans do not break so easily. We fight. The chamber erupted again, voices clashing like storm winds. Some demanded his death for daring to defy them. Others argued he was too valuable to destroy. The eldest counselor slammed his staff, silencing all. He is dangerous. But his blood is powerful. The choice is clear. He will be confined until he accepts his role. If he refuses, we will force him. The law will not bend. The guards dragged him away, but his eyes never left the child's tear-streaked face. She reached out desperately as the doors closed between them, and in that moment, he made a vow. If they wanted to chain him, they would have to break him first, and he would never allow them to turn his act of kindness into a cage. The cell was no longer just stone and light. It was a cage of decisions. The human sat against the wall, his wrists bruised from the glowing cuffs. The air was heavy, filled with a metallic taste of fear. He had been judged, labeled, and chained because of a crime. But because of a kindness. Every hour, guards checked on him. Their masks hid their faces, but he could feel their eyes. They did not see a man. They saw a resource. A breeder. The words still echoed in his skull like poisoned at night. When the hall grew quiet, he planned. He studied the cuffs, the walls, the sound of footsteps, the way the doors opened and closed. Every detail became a piece of a puzzle. He could not remain here. If he stayed, they would strip him of freedom, of choice, of humanity itself. But each time he thought of escaping, another face rose in his mind, the girl, her small hand gripping his sleeve, her trembling voice calling him life-giver. The fear in her eyes when the guards dragged him away. If he escaped alone, she would be left behind, and she would die. He knew it deep inside. The bond was not only in her heart, was in her blood. The door hissed open suddenly. 2 guards stepped in, their weapons glowing faintly. Between them stood the mother. Her silver skin caught the dim light, her expression sharp as ever. She dismissed the guards with a flick of her hand. When the door sealed, she faced him in silence. At last, she spoke. "You are stubborn, human, too stubborn for your own good." He glared at her. "You stood before the council and claimed me like property. You talk about law, but you forgot mercy." Her jaw tightened. "Mercy does not keep my daughter alive. The law does. If I defy it, they will kill her, and they will kill you. This way, at least, you live." He laughed bitterly. "Live? You call this living? To be chained, forced, used like an animal." The mother's eyes burned, but beneath the fire there was a shadow, something like pain. "You think I wanted this? You think I want you in my house? No, but the law is unbreakable. It bends for no one. If I do not claim you, another will. Someone crueler. Someone who will not care for her bond to you. You are safer with me than with them." Her words struck him. For a moment, he saw not a commander, not a cold enforcer of law, but a mother trapped by her own world. She was desperate to protect her child, even if it meant turning him into a prisoner. Still, he shook his head. No cage is safe. Not for me. Not for her. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Then escape, if you dare. But if you run, they will hunt you. They will find you. And when they do, they will take her from you. You will not protect her. You will doom her." Her words cut deep. He clenched his fists, torn between fury and fear. That night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His mind raced between 2 paths. Submission meant chains. Escape meant danger. But neither choice freed the girl. Then he heard it, the softest sound, like a whisper. The door slid open, and the girl slipped inside once more. She rushed to him, curling into his lap. "I don't want you to leave me," she whispered. "Promise you won't." His chest ached. He stroked her hair gently. "I will never leave you. But I cannot stay in chains either. I must find a way." For both of us, she lifted her head, her glowing eyes full of trust. "Then I will help you." The human's heart clenched. She was only a child, but her courage was greater than any warrior's. He kissed the top of her head softly. "You already are helping me. You give me strength." Footsteps echoed outside the cell. He laid her down gently and told her to hide in the shadows. The guards passed, unaware, and in that moment a plan began to form. He would not submit. He would not abandon her. He would fight, not with blind rage, but with cunning. He would use what the aliens feared most: their own law, their own secrets. He would find the cracks in their system and break free, not as a slave, but as a man. The next time the council called him, they would not find a broken captive. They would find a human, ready to defy them all. The council chamber burned with light. Dozens of alien eyes glowed in the great hall, fixed on the human who stood bound at its center. Chains of radiant energy wrapped around his wrists and ankles, humming with power. He could feel their weight in his bones, but he refused to bow his head. The mother stood on one side, her face calm and unreadable. The child stood on the other, held back by guards, her small hands shaking as she reached toward him. The eldest counselor raised his staff. His golden eyes blazed as his voice echoed through the hall. "The law has been tested. The bond is real. The blood is strong. He must fulfill the duty. Breed or die." A silence fell. The words hung in the air like a blade waiting to fall. The human lifted his head slowly. His voice rang clear, steady, and sharp. "I will do neither. I will not be your slave. I will not be your breeder. I will not bow to your law." Gasps rippled through the chamber. Counselors leaned forward, some outraged, others curious. The mother's eyes flickered with something unreadable: fear, perhaps, or pride she dared not show. The child cried out, "Life-giver, don't let them hurt you." Her voice cracked the silence. Even the counselors shifted uncomfortably. The bond was plain, undeniable. The eldest slammed his staff. Silence. "This human mocks the sacred code. He spits on our law. He must be broken." The guards moved closer, weapons glowing. But the human stood tall, fire in his eyes. "You speak of sacred law. But what is sacred about chains? What is holy about slavery? I gave my blood to save a child, not to feed your greed. If that makes me guilty, then your law is rotten." The chamber shook with voices in gore, shock, even whispers of agreement. Some counselors hissed for his death. Others murmured that his words carried truth. The mother stepped forward, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You cannot kill him. If he dies, my daughter dies. His blood keeps her alive." The bond is sealed. The council froze. It was true. To destroy him would mean destroying the child. Even those who hated him hesitated. The humans saw their weakness. He raised his voice louder, every word striking like a hammer. "You need me? You fear me. Because I proved what you deny: your laws are not unbreakable. Your power is not eternal. I saved her with my choice, not with chains, not with force. Choice is stronger than your codes." The council hall erupted again. Some shouted to silence him. Others argued to hear him. The human pressed on, his defiance burning like a beacon. "You think you own me. No, I am human. We are not owned. We are not bred. We fight. And if you try to chain me, then I will show your people the truth. You fear that your law is nothing but a cage. And cages can break." The eldest counselor's golden eyes flared with rage. "Enough. You dare threaten us." The human's gaze burned into his. "Not threaten. Promise." At that moment, the ground shook. The mother soldiers had spread the whispers. The human's blood was strong, stronger than theirs. Rumors of rebellion had already taken root. The council could feel it. Fear crept into their ancient eyes. The child broke free of the guards, running to him. She clung to his leg, staring up at the council with fearless eyes. "He is my life-giver. If you take him, you take me too." Gasps swept through the hall. A child's declaration, public and pure, carried more power than any decree. To tear them apart now would not only risk the girl's life, would spark unrest across their people. The eldest counselor trembled with fury, but lowered his staff. His voice was bitter, cold as ice. "So be it. He remains with the child. But know this, human you have twisted our law. You will be hunted. The galaxy will not forgive." The chains around his wrists dissolved into light. The guards stepped back. The council turned away, divided and unsettled. The human bent down and lifted the girl into his arms. She buried her face against him, relief flooding her small body. He whispered softly, "I told you. I would not leave you." The mother stood apart, her eyes hard but wet with unspoken tears. She spoke quietly, almost to herself. "You have broken something greater than chains, human. You have broken the code itself." He met her gaze. "Then let it stay broken." The council chamber fell into silence. But beyond those walls, whispers spread like fire across the stars of a human who defied the ancient law, who saved a child with his blood, who stood against an empire and did not break. And though the council warned him the galaxy would not forgive, he knew the truth: the galaxy would never forget.